This is TWiT.
So it's been a headline-grabbing week for Apple. When has it not been? But we did have to report that when it comes to actual smartphone sales, Apple and the product line are taking over a third of the entire revenue straight out the bat. So all those mobile phone manufacturers out there, the billions of smartphones out there, Apple is sucking it up. Now, we have a mixed panel here. Some Apple users, some Android users. Mike, you've actually bought your wood-framed iPad here. You have,
yes.
You haven't gone for the iPhone 10 or X, depending on how you describe it.
No.
10 or X, which one would
10.
you...
We'll go with the 10, yep, because I think the next one's going to be an 11. They pulled a Microsoft. They skipped a generation. There has been no iPhone 9. But yeah, iPhone 10 for sure. iPhone
7, 8, 9, or, sorry.
One of the things I was surprised about, obviously, you know, Apple always dominates profits. If you think about what does Apple make, the one thing they make better than anyone is profits. But iPhone 10 actually had significantly higher profits than any of the other iPhones. The numbers
are so ridiculously priced. Or?
Yeah, well, I guess. I mean, we're probably going to talk about the Samsung, the cost of the Samsung screen, and so on. So it's expensive for them to make, and it's amazing they got as many people to buy it as they did. But 35% of the industry's profits were the iPhone 10, 19% the iPhone 8, 15% the iPhone 8 Plus, 6% iPhone 7, 5% iPhone 7. The first non-Apple device on the list is the Galaxy Note 8 at 3.9%, basically 4% of the industry profit. So Apple, once again, is winning it all, and this doesn't even tell you what they're making on app sales. They get a third of all the app sales. What they're getting on the streaming services like Apple Music and so on. It goes on and on and on. They make money on everything, every aspect of the, just about every aspect of the phones, but this is just for selling the hardware. And it's the business story of, I think, the decade or the millennium or something like that. They just are printing money, and it's kind of ridiculous. They're on track to be the first $1 trillion valuation company.
I think Amazon might get there first. I'm not sure. Could be.
It could be.
There's a fight for it at the moment.
Not if President Trump has anything to do with it.
Yes. Well, we may come on to that later on. I mean, Greg and Dwight, what's your view on this? I mean, are you Apple fanboys? Are you Android users? Are you?
I am an Apple user, and I use pretty much all their products. It's not a surprise they are aiming at the high end of the market, where the profits naturally are better. They've made Apple an aspirational brand, so you want to have it, maybe even if you can't afford it. And they have a variety of products, in a variety of price ranges. So I think they're being very smart about it. The question is how much can they sustain? They have earnings coming up on May 1st, and there have been several analysts who have said, well, they're just not doing as well as expected on the iPhone 10, and so we'll get a better look at what is actually going to happen when those earnings drop.
So I'm an Apple user or an Apple consumer. I'm not a fanboy. I was a fanboy, but increasingly I'm less inspired by Apple's going forward. I think the price is getting out of whack with the value being delivered. So, as it says here, 21% of the total revenue goes to Apple, but they make 35% of the total industry profits. I've heard different numbers. I heard they sort of take 30% of the total revenue, but 70% of the total profits or whatever. But either way, Apple's is working in the premium end of the market and charging premium pricing that it has a vast profit margin. But then not only that, but part of the reason they're making the profit margin is a couple of things. One is security. Unlike a Microsoft or an Android, your device is more or less secure, although there's signs that there's cracks in that coming forward. It's not buggy compared to anybody else's smartphones or anybody else's products. And so they do actually have a reason for being regarded as a premium supplier. But I think the other thing that we are not covering here that's not covered in this report, of course, is that Apple is very much increasing its ARPU, avenue revenue per customer, or average revenue per user, to be literal, by having things like the headphones, the Apple earphones they've got with the X1 chip inside, Apple TVs. The Mac is increasingly an accessory to the iPhone, the App Store, the music, the HomePod. All those accessories mean that you're not just buying the phone anymore. The phone is the linchpin of an entire ecosystem around which you're going to buy, one or more of those fries with the iPhone burger. And I think you don't underestimate that part of the strategy.
Greg, just to follow up on that and clarify, you said that your understanding was that the Apple was north of 70% total profits. That used to be the case, and now they're up to 87%. The 35% is the iPhone 10 alone. So the iPhone 10 by itself as one of the many profitable Apple devices makes more profit than the top 600 Android makers combined.
It's utterly bonkers.